Sweet Rosaline, she's working at the Five and Dime. Train back to hacky sack with rosemary wine. Yo diddle diddle dee. Q&A. Hey, we all love the Q&A. Hello everyone, it's time finally for the 10K Q&A. First off, I'd like to just say a proper hearty thank you to all of you who have watched, liked, commented, shared your opinions, subscribed, anything to show your engagement and contribute to the conversations here. It's frankly kind of amazing. I'm incredibly appreciative of that. Also, to whoever did this, whoever paid money to have this happen, if you and I ever meet, I owe you some kind of small token of my appreciation, because that's frankly insane. Also, I'd like to say, if you like what I do, I highly recommend checking out some other channels out there. For example, Liam the Music Reviewer, Rick the Lie, The Sound Binge, Not Real Music, Buffalo Staple, Shuffle Quest, The Wonky Angle, and Listening In. They all make phenomenal music stuff here on YouTube, and I can't recommend them enough. But anyway, to the questions. I've broken them up into sections, so if you want to find out something specific about me or the channel, that might be the best way to look into it. I'll leave time stamps down below. I wasn't able to get to everything, but if there's something that you're dying to ask me and I didn't answer it here, either ask it in the comments of this video or hit me up on Twitter and I'll answer it for you. Here we go. First up, childhood, upbringing, general development as a human person. What was the first concert you attended and how did you like it? I think my very first concert was Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They're the group that does rock arrangements of Christmas tunes. I think their most famous one is the one that goes dun 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 dun, whatever that one's called. I don't remember the music much, but I think the light show was pretty good, so there's that. What are your favorite albums from your childhood? So, okay, when I was younger, I had a Sony Discman that I would always listen to stuff with on the way to and from school when I was younger. And most of the stuff I listened to when I was a kid was movie soundtracks. So Shrek 1 and Shrek 2, Shark Tale, the SpongeBob movie, Robots, Over the Hedge, High School Musical was a big one. And then I also had CDs that I had burned that had downloaded MP3s from MP3 Rocket Pro. Most of that I think was stuff from Guitar Hero games. That was another thing too, I loved the Guitar Hero games when I was younger. What really got you into music? And did you go to school for music? I think it was just a bunch of little moments that kind of built up over the years. What was the other question? Did I go to school for music? Yes, I went to school for audio engineering mainly, though the degree program kind of got my feet wet with theory, composition, performing. It was a very well-rounded program. Congrats on 10K subscribers. Thank you. Hope it will be many more in the future. Thank you. My question is, when did your love of music start? Did you have a eureka moment or was it always there? If so, do you recall your earliest musical memory? Cheers from a big fan in Portugal. Aw, thank you. Like I said, there wasn't really one moment, but it was just kind of small moments built up over time. And then for the earliest memory I have, okay, so when I was younger, for a brief period of time, my mom worked with a friend at a home run business, and I would go over sometimes to the other person's house after school and play with the dog and watch Captain Planet. And every so often I would go up to check on my mom and see how she was doing upstairs where they worked. And every single time I went up there, blaring at full volume, was Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman. I don't hate the song amazingly, it's a good song, it's just whenever I hear it, I'm like Doug from Up, where I turn for to see squirrels, except instead of squirrels, it's Shania Twain. What's the most nostalgic song or album for you, good or bad? Probably Man, I Feel Like a Woman, or what's another example? We Like the Moon? The song with the two little gross rodents that I think was eventually turned into a Quiznos commercial? This video is gonna destroy all my credibility. What's your favorite moment that's happened in a song, be it a stunning bass riff, a crazy drum fill, a devastating high note acting as the climax to a track, a mind-blowingly good lyric, etc.? Oh, I have one in mind, but I'm saving it for another video. You mentioned bass riffs, so I'll go with Thundercat's bass solo on Flying Lotus's Never Catch Me. I actually, for a class, once had to diagram that out. If I find that graph, maybe I'll show it to you guys at some point. What are your favorite band, album, and genre? In reverse, I don't know if I have a favorite genre, but band and album, probably Spoon and Ga 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 Ga, respectively. How did the channel name occur to you? I think it was an in-joke between friends of mine in college freshman year. I forget how it came about, but like there was a bit of time where like we'd always be like, hey, and no matter what, always mic the snare. It always just stuck with me and had a ring to it. So I thought, yeah, I'll name a channel after it. 2 questions here about influences. Biggest influences on your... And congrats on the 10K. Who inspired you to make videos beside Fantano? Who's that? I mean, geez, Adam Neely, 12-tone, there's a whole other list here. Adam Neely, 12-tone, Deep Cuts, Lindsay Ellis, Folding Ideas, Patrick Willems, Here Lies Music, of course, H-Bomber Guy, Todd in the Shadows, Donkey, probably a bunch more, but those are like the big ones I can think of off the top of my head. Or not off the top of my head, I just said I had a list. Quick reviews. 2 of you asked about the quick reviews. First up, where did the idea behind your quick review format come as opposed to the regular N out of 10? And what sparked the transition to the Basharoo videos? Also, congrats on 10K. You've definitely earned way more. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. And then who or what prompted you to make your album reviews far shorter than those of any other tuber? So the quick review format was initially started, I think, by a guy who had the name Here Lies Music. He was pretty active in 2015. Go check out his channel. You can binge all of it in like 20 minutes, I think. And when I was starting this channel, the main focus was going to be on the longer videos, but I wanted something that I could do to kind of fill in the gaps between long videos because I didn't want to just be uploading like once a month. And I wanted to give that kind of format, that quick reviewing format, my own spin. So that's how I came to start doing the quick reviews. And then for the Basharoo, I was taking a break because I was moving from the first room I was shooting videos in to this room. And I was, a bunch of albums had come out and I wanted to cover them all. And I think someone on some video commented saying like, hey, it'd be cool if you did like a whole bunch of reviews in one video. So I tried doing that to catch up on the stuff that I had missed, and people liked the format, and I liked kind of the new possibilities it could give. So yeah, that's how the Basharoo started, and the rest is history. Some of you had questions about the Deep Discog dive. Have you ever considered doing a Deep Discog dive on Ween? Yes, they're on my list. Will you ever make a DDD about Kendrick Lamar? Oh, absolutely. How do you decide what artist you're going to do a Deep Discog dive on? Do you try to take requests and make what you think most people want to see, or do you focus on what you're interested in and hope others enjoy it as much as you? Mostly viewer suggestions. That was actually kind of the idea of the show, because I wanted something that was more dependent on suggestions from y'all, because the case studies are more the stuff that I'm interested in and the quick reviews are more just the stuff that's come out recently, but I wanted something where y'all could really have input on what I covered. And it was also too, I wanted an opportunity somehow to learn about different musicians and styles that I didn't previously have knowledge of. So it was kind of the merging of those two that created that series. Unpopular opinions. A couple of you asked about hot takes and unpopular opinions, or just maybe like albums or songs that I like but most people don't, or vice versa. So I have a bit of a list. Here we go. The Strokes' Come Down Machine is their 3rd best album, and I believe there's an argument for it being their 2nd. While the idea of a continuously updated album is still an interesting one, The Life of Pablo totally squandered it. Plus, given how Kanye's 2 most recent records have rolled out, it's more likely that the idea was an excuse to release unfinished material. Justin Bieber's Purpose is a defining pop album of the 2010s and helped to guide where pop music went after its release. Sufjan Stevens' The Age of Odds is a tremendously underrated album and might be the work of his that best showcases his quality as an arranger and producer. Speaking of Suf, his album with Sunlux and Serengeti, Sisyphus, is very underrated, and that album's closing track, Alcohol, is one of the best closing tracks of the decade. Greedy by Ariana Grande should be one of her biggest hits. The fact that it wasn't even a single is a shame. Beyonce's Self-Titled should go down in history for redefining how we release music in the 2010s, but as an album it's overrated, except for Blow, that's one of her like top 10 best songs. I wish Gautier would come back. Making Mirrors is a way better album than a one-hit wonder like him deserves. I hope he's doing well. Vince Staples' Big Fish Theory is his best project. Interpol's El Pintor is their second best album, and proof that Turn on the Bright Lights isn't a fluke. Y'all Are Sleeping on Crack Up by Fleet Foxes, that is such a good driving record, and I even might think that it's their best album at times when I'm feeling a little naughty. Death Grips' best album is The Powers That Be. Coldplay gets way too bad a rap these days, for the most part. Surf by Donnie Trumpet and The Social Experiment is way better than most people make it out to be, especially given how Chance's album from this year turned out. Like, I think the Social Experiment crew is listed on there as producers, but like you wouldn't know it from hearing it, in my opinion. And then Rihanna's Anti is fine, but it's been getting a ton of best of the decade buzz, and I don't understand why. Yeah, I don't understand that. It's a good album, it's her best album, I just don't get that kind of hype around it. Also, someone else asked about hot takes, but then they also asked about what are my 10 out of 10 albums. If there are a lot of these, name the essential ones and why you consider them to be perfect briefly. I don't know if I would call them 10 out of 10s, because I don't think any record is like truly, absolutely flawless. But for the ones that I consider like my personal essentials, let's see. Gaga Gaga Gaga, Spoon at their best when it comes to songwriting and studio production. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Kanye at his best with this monstrous opulent record that showcases all of his best qualities. To Pimp a Butterfly, phenomenal jazz rap with lyrics by Kendrick that managed to be very personal yet relevant to the broader social climate. Is This It? Lean, mean alt-rock that defined an entire scene. And then Ben Folds' Rock in the Suburbs. It's the perfect blend to me of lyrics that are both snarky and sentimental, plus it has some of Ben's best songs of all time. What's a classic album that you don't like / can't get into? I remember back in February of this year, I tried listening to Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill, and it just kind of washed over me. But a lot of people like that record, so I think it just has more to do with me. Thought experiments. Picture the scene. HBO has funded you for a documentary miniseries about music and need an outline of 3 episodes. What 3 music topics do you cover? Liam, that is such a good question. I know I said it already, but go subscribe to Liam. He is great. First up would be the Beatles' impact, but seen exclusively through how their approach to multi-track recording changed throughout their history, because I think they were pioneers. The second one would be the Messina, the vocal and sound processor Chris Messina built for Bon Iver's 22 a Million, and how it's used and how it works and how other artists have used it. And then this is kind of vague, but my third idea would be a tour, kind of like Anthony Bourdain No Reservations video about a music scene in a city that has a much bigger music scene somewhere else. So like as an example, New York has New York City, which is a huge place for music, but I would love to do a sort of documentary on a smaller music scene in that state. So like Buffalo, Rochester, Ithaca, like somewhere else where music is happening, but maybe not as many people are aware of it. Similarly to the premise of the movie Yesterday, a mass power cut leads to every album from 2016 being wiped from everyone's memory but yours. Which 5 albums from that year do you bring back into existence? Also, congrats on 10K subs, mate. Thank you. You know, I was wondering why you picked 2016 of all years, and then I started looking and I realized 2016 was such a good year for music. Oh, if I had to pick 5, Lemonade, Black Star, 22 a Million, Blonde, I Like It When You Sleep, for You Are So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It? Or maybe We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service? or atrocity exhibition? God, that's such a good question. Oh my God. First of all, congrats. First of all, thank you. My question is, where do you think rock music is going? With fantastic, successful bands like Queens of the Stone Age still around, do you think they will ever get widespread mainstream attention, or will classics like Songs for the Deaf just be enjoyed by fans of rock? Personally, I think rock will survive but not become popular in the mainstream again, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Keep up the good work anyway. Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I think rock of that kind, the Queens of the Stone Age style rock, is always going to be around, if maybe not get quite as popular as it used to be. I think rock music nowadays is in this weird spot where in order to become really popular, you have to be willing to kind of just not even be rock. You have to be so willing to adapt to what the other trends are, to the point where it's like you become Imagine Dragons, which is rock with like 7 quotation marks around it. That said, the way we consume music now with the internet and streaming platforms can be so dependent on cross-pollination and just different genres coming together to create something new. So I think rock may make a return at some point, but if it does, it'll probably be in a form we haven't seen from it yet. Yo, congrats! Yo, thank you! What do you think about the streaming age, and do you wish people bought physical copies more? And what's a weird-ish genre combo you'd like to see get popular / on the charts, like Rap and Country just did with Old Town Road? For the physical ownership stuff, I guess they did, though I understand why streaming is popular, why it's so convenient for the consumer. I mean, I still buy CDs for the most part. For what it's worth, I have a whole ton of CDs over on like those white shelves over there. I think I have like over 100 CDs. And I used to do vinyl collecting too, though I don't do it much anymore. I think the last vinyl record I bought was Black Star. And then for the streaming age question, I think streaming is good for discovering artists and for breaking down the barriers between genres, but it's less good for fair compensation for artists, which can kind of lead to a wider gap between the top earners in the industry and everybody else. And then for a genre combo I'd like to see get popular, I mean, I don't know if it would be good, but I'd love to see like 90s alt-rock mashed together with neo-soul with like mixed meters and like J Dilla type beats. Like I said, I don't know if it would be good, but I'd like to see what that sounds like. What do you think is going to happen to the pop landscape in the future? Are we going to swing back towards more bright poptimism a la early 2010s, or are different territories primed for exploration? I mean, I read about a rule once that tastes tend to repeat every 20 years, so if we do see the kind of pop from the 2010s reemerge, I don't think it'll be for another 10 years or so. And just for the broader like pop landscape, I mean, honestly, it can be really hard to guess at this point. Like if you had told me that the biggest song from this year would have been by an Atlanta teen who did a rap country mashup with a beat taken from a Nine Inch Nails song, and that became the longest charting #1 hit in Billboard history, I probably would have laughed. But the best thing I can say is that with streaming, the constructs and barriers between genres are only going to keep falling, and we're gonna see a lot more interesting cross-pollination between genres. That's the most I would feel comfortable saying about the future. But it's exciting, the future's exciting. 2 of you had questions about me making music. Do you make music in your spare time? And if so, what artists influence your music the most? And congrats on 10K, thank you. And then the other one, do you record or write your own music? And can I hear a bit of it? What's your music process? Do you think about making albums? Do you write the same kind of music you listen to? Does newly released music inspire the music you write? I don't know if that's a lot of questions, sorry, oops, it's fine. I do write music on occasion when it's necessary. The most recent thing I've done was score a soundtrack for one of those 48-hour film contests. It's actually where that egg painting came from, actually. And in terms of hearing my music, you actually do for most of my videos. The little jingles for the Deep Discog Dive and the Quick Review Basharoo were written by me. And then what else have I done? I think the other thing that comes to mind is I once made a mashup album of rappers and the band Wolfpack called Wolfmatic. A lot of people seem to dig that, but I think that was the biggest, I think that's the most recent big thing that I've done. Making videos. Are there any music topics you'd like to make a whole video about but feel that said topic is too niche to cover? I have an entire Google Doc of video ideas. I mean, there's one about like the history of the gyro and how it's been used in pop music. Specifically how for Britney Spears, they used a gyro and side-chained it with her voice, so it gave her that like iconic like that vocal fry. I had one about like Sufjan Stevens' Illinois and how it was recorded pretty much exclusively with SM57s and how it still sounds luscious. So a video about how like you don't necessarily need like the best or most high-end gear to make something great, but it's mostly just like little ideas that I think of, I put somewhere, and I let them marinate, and if they become something more, then they do, and if they don't, then you know, they don't. How many times do you listen to an album before coming to a conclusion, and how do you listen to them? For quick reviews and the deep Discog dives, I try to aim for at least twice, and I usually listen once in my car and once at home with my headphones. And then for case studies, I mean dozens of times, whatever it takes for me to properly, you know, understand the album. I've been in a YouTube block for the past few months and I want to make something, but I don't know what. In your time on the platform, was there ever that moment for you and how did you overcome it? I was in a similar place when I started, though I knew I wanted to do music, but I wasn't really sure exactly what to talk about or how to go about it. Plus my gear at the time was trash. I mean, the first video I ever made was recorded with like a 2006 Canon camcorder. But I think that's another thing too. I found that gear doesn't always matter, and what matters more is passion and enthusiasm. So I would say to start out, find something that you want to talk about, that you're passionate about, and see where that leads you. And then if you find that in your path you want to go somewhere else or you want to do something different, like that's totally fine. I found that if you're passionate and enthusiastic about what you're talking about, that comes across so much when you're making videos. If you made videos about something other than music, what would it be? Like woodworking or something? I'd probably make videos for the purpose of learning a new skill or like learning something new, kind of what these videos can be for me. General music questions. Or I talk about a bunch of stuff I know nothing about. What are your thoughts on post-rock / noise rock, one of my favorite genres? Are you into Swans or Godspeed You Black Emperor, or dare I say, explosions in the sky? Riley, I'm so sorry, but I'm not terribly familiar with the genre. I know Swans and I listened to Lift Your Skinny Fists ages ago, but that's about it. Congrats on hitting the milestone, thank you. My questions are, what is your opinion on extreme music, i.e. gore grind, noisecore, etc.? In general, how effective do you think screaming can be in conveying an emotion or telling a story? Do you believe music can be too raw in its presentation or when telling a story? Thanks and good luck with your future. Thank you very much. No, I'm not terribly familiar with those genres, but for screaming, yes, I absolutely believe that it can be an effective tool in conveying emotion or telling a story. And then for the question about raw, I don't know if raw is the word I'd use. I think more unrefined, like if you're doing something without a real purpose to the message you're trying to communicate, if you're just doing something for the sake of doing it. Actually, one of my favorite instances of screaming in a context I didn't expect it at all was Future Islands, who had that song Seasons Waiting on You a while back. There's a song on that album where the lead singer, who, you know, he's a fine singer and all that, but like he comes out of nowhere with this like really good and effective metal scream, and it blows my mind every time I listen to it. What are your thoughts on K-pop? Are there any groups or soloists from that genre that you like? I don't know much about specific artists, but I find the whole industry of K-pop very interesting for how chameleonic it can be with adapting to new trends and styles in music and kind of putting it all together into one sort of mono-genre-esque whole, if that makes sense. And then for specific artists, I mean, I know BTS a decent amount, I know some of their songs, but yeah, otherwise that's pretty much it. Are there any albums from this past decade that you think deserve more exposure, and will you review the first Glass Beach album by Glass Beach? It's my album of the year, honestly. For the second question, American Wrestlers Self-Titled, Shiny-Eyed Babies by Bent Knee, Making Mirrors by Gautier, Emily's D plus Evolution by Esperanza Spalding, Choose Your Weapon by Hiatus Coyote. And then for the Glass Beach album, I listened to it a while back, and I did like it. It's definitely the most idea-filled record I've heard this year, even if to me it's not all effective or on the same level, but still it is a good album and I do like it. I might actually end up covering it in the last Quick Review Basharoo of the year with a bunch of other stuff that I missed through the year. What's your thoughts on Green Day or punk in general? What instruments do you know how to play? I know these questions have nothing to do with each other, but they've been on my mind since the day I heard you say there's an audio equivalent to Tommy Wiseau. Green Day, I go back and forth on them. There's stuff that I like by them. American Idiot I think is a good album, but a lot of their other stuff I haven't really dug into much. And then for instruments, my main ones are voice and ukulele, and then I can also kind of mess my way around like guitar, keyboard, bass, melodica, banjo. I know like the theory behind them, so I can work out something if I need to. Question, what do you think of Queen? What's your favorite album / song? And what are your thoughts on the movie? And congrats on 10K, you've earned it. Thank you very much. Answer, Queen, I like Queen. My favorite album by them would probably be A Night at the Opera, and my favorite song would be Don't Stop Me Now. And the movie, I liked it. Rami Malek is a really good Freddie Mercury, but I found the pacing to be really off. Like, I felt like it rushed through things too quickly, and that you didn't really get the chance to know many of the other band members, aside from Freddie, of course, because he's the star. Also, this one shot with that SM7B in that location confuses me. Congratulations on that 10K subscribers. Thank you. My question for you is, what decade of music do you tend to listen most, and why? Thank you so much. You're very welcome. Because of this channel, I mostly listen to this decade, though in my casual listening, I'd say it's an even mix between 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. What albums from 2020 are you most excited for? I really hope Spoon puts something out. I think they're like right about at that time where they usually release music. I know Tame Impala's releasing that new record next year. I was kinda lukewarm on the singles they put out, but then again, I felt the same way about Currents, and that ended up being one of my favorite albums of 2015. Oh, and Kesha, too. Kesha's got a new record coming out in January. I'm excited for that. What are your thoughts on Bandcamp? I like it. Yeah, I've found plenty of great artists through it, and any platform that allows musicians to get a greater slice of the revenue pie is good in my book. Opinion on the Spoon song, All the Pretty Girls Go to the City. I like it. The back half of Kill the Moonlight is very underrated in my eyes, including Vittorio E, which is probably my favorite Spoon album closer, except for Black, like me. Opinion on Lord's Melodrama. I love it. Some people have asked me to do a video on it, and I would love to. I would just want to figure out a unique angle on it. But if I can, then I definitely would cover it in a longer video. Randos. Which Shrek movie is your favorite? The second. Question, what's up? Answer, not much, how are you? Hey there, just have a question. How would you rank the modern X-Acts in terms of their music? X-Acts equals Demi, Miley, Selena, Ariana. I don't exactly know what you mean by X-Acts, but based on the list that you gave me, from least preferred to most, Selena, Miley, Demi, and Ariana, though I think Demi has a lot of underrated songs in her catalog. Two of you asked what your purpose is in life. I don't know, find the things that make you happy, find people to share them with, and I don't know, be a good hang. Yeah. Two of you asked about my opinion on music discussion boards and forums, one about Mew and one about Rate Your Music. For what it's worth, I don't use either, though back in college I used to sometimes take a look at those topsters of like the essential Mew albums. And I mean, I think one of you mentioned like, in one of the questions you bring up, do you think that the tastes of the community can be a detriment to someone that is discovering music, or its function as a platform for discovering new artists finally overshadows that toxicity? I mean, I think the internet has this tendency to let us all burrow in more to our opinions and find people who agree with those opinions, but I think sometimes it can lead to sort of an us versus them mentality. This isn't just a music forums thing. I think it's just an internet thing. But I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is just, be strong in your own convictions, know what music you like, and if someone disagrees with you, then, that's it. Be a good hang. Out of all the so bad it's good music you've discussed, which do you think would be the easiest for people to legitimately enjoy? Wesley Willis, probably. Or also Lulu, because I think a lot of people were saying in the comments of that video that Lulu's actually good, so probably either one of them. What is the weirdest and most out there album you love? There's one recently that I came across, Welcome to the Welcome Wagon by the Welcome Wagon. It's a husband and wife pastor couple who made what I can only describe as a Fleetwood Mac album if it was produced by Sufjan Stevens. Literally because Sufjan Stevens produced it. Should we legalize anime? I mean, what has anime ever done wrong to any of us? Aside from start all wars. Favorite type of cheese? Mozzarella if it's going to be on something like a burger or a sandwich, and then brie if it's on its own or if it's on like a cracker or something. Also, go subscribe to Ryan, Not Real Music, strongest right arm in the game. No questions, just that I'm so proud of you. Aww. Fun fact, actually, my friend Violet, who left this comment, actually designed the logo for this channel, and she has a really nice art Instagram that y'all should follow because it's really good. Okay, I think that's all of them. If, like I said, if there's any that I missed, feel free to leave it in the comments of this video or hit me up on Twitter and I'll answer it there. Man, this was really fun. Yeah, thank you all for such great questions. And thank you for not really being jerks about any of it. Like, I didn't get any like jerky questions, except for one. But that was actually a pretty clever question. For what it's worth, I don't really eat beef jerky, so I don't know. And yeah, I will see you all for whatever video of mine comes out next on the schedule. Yeah, bye.